So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Demetra Kaye Show. It is Sunday, and yes, it is the Demetra Kaye Show. And I hope you guys are having a great day. And I also hope that you all have had a great week thus far, and will have a greater week this week coming up, right? So, anyway, the Demetra Kaye Show, we talk about all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with an emphasis on even, because we are already a great people, but we could be greater, right? Now, I know some people will beg to differ, but whatever, right? So, anyway, as you guys see here, there is Donovan, the recovering Democrat. He is always going to be in recovery, so that way he doesn't, slip back into being a Democrat. As you guys can also see, he's got his cowboy hat on and his cowboy jersey for some odd reason. I don't know. But anyway, like to also say thank you to Marcus Guyton for everything that he does behind the scenes in making the show go further, and to the YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, you are participants, because this is probably one of the only shows that reads each and every comment, because we feel like you should be heard as well. And so before we get into it, hey Moni, how you doing? Robin the Pioneer and Eli, what's going on? You said you got your first girlfriend, Eli. Okay, well, be careful, and I'm happy for you all at the same time. So anyway, Donovan, what say you before we get started?
All right, you guys, Dallas Cowboys are ahead 10-17, 17-10, however you want to look at it. But don't get your hopes up, because we know they are very good at fumbling the ball. I have a real Cowboy jersey on, which is the Tony Dorsett version in the 70s. And hopefully they will pull it out. But welcome to the Demetra Kaye Show. A lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about a little health stuff and stuff. And by the way, Demetra, I love your hair today. Your hair looks very, 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 very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're going to get into that. We're going to be talking. And again, we hope that you guys will join in the chat and enlighten us on some of your experiences in regards to nutrition and what you're doing to better yourself and keep the race intact.
Yes, indeed. And Robin, how you doing, Jafia? And Easy, say hello, dear Sheriff Clark. Olivia, what's going on? Sunlight. All right, so I'll give you guys just a couple of more moments to get in here before we get started. For somebody says, what are we talking about? We're actually going to be talking about a whole bunch of things. Donovan's got a question for us, that he wants us to answer as best we can. So we'll save it for just a little bit. And Moni says, so I'd like to know, Demetra, did you see what the racist was using racial slurs and got handled appropriately? Why would now a broke leg and with now a broke leg and a concussion still using slurs at receiving hospital? You know what? I have not opened it up yet. Saturdays, I usually just take everything off and just kind of do nothing. And so I am going to open all of that tomorrow, and I will look at everything that you sent me. You sent me quite a few things, so I'll look at it tomorrow. Fly on the wall, how are you doing? Says during again today, I told my wife to get the blood pressure pill for me. The Lions are going to be the death of me. Yeah, the Lions. Ugh. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, in our community, it's not a secret that we have some health issues, right? We have some healthy issues. Everything you could think of, everything you can name, we are at the top or the bottom. I don't know how you want to say it, in regards to having the most, right? Whether it's being obese, heart disease, diabetes, and some certain cancers, and just everything, right? We are leading the pack at not being good at it, right? Um, we know personally in our own families, and we see on the news and the internet, people dying at a very young age. Now, when I say a young age, 50s and 60s is not old, right? That's a baby, right? And they say that, hey, Anais, how you doing? A baby that is born today, in a couple years back, with all the technology we have, should live to be at least 120 years old, right? Not like back in the day before they had all the technologies and the medicines and, different things to detect certain things and to preserve life, right? So now we should be good. We should be good with all the information we have, right? But unfortunately for us as Black people, That's not really the case. We are not living to our full potential and maximizing, our lifespan, like even during slavery, if you think about it, we are getting close to, because slaves lived to be what, on average about in their 40s or so, due to the hard work, the deprivation of sleep and food and just horrible conditions, right? Slavery was horrible. So life expectancy wasn't that long, but now in 2021 it seems like we are getting back to that, to where we are not living that long. And I will say, you guys, just really on my timeline on Facebook, because that's where I usually spend most of my, social media time. I'm noticing a lot of my friends, and my friends' husbands or wives and all of that dying or getting sick. I'm having heart attacks and just a lot of, I would say, avoidable things. And so I want to read something to y'all really quick. Okay. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. Fried chicken, fly vixen, give me heart disease, but need you in my kitchen. You a bird, but you ain't a kite. Got wings, but you can't fly away from me. Driving in your bucket seats all the way from Kentucky to F with me. Look what you've done to me. Was number one to me. After you shower, you and your golden metal flower. Then you rub your hot oil for about a half an hour. You in your hot tub, I'm looking at you salivating. Dry you off. I got your paper towel waiting. Lay you down cause you're red hot, Louisiana style. You make my head rot. Then I flock to the bed, then plop. When we done, I need rest. Don't know what part of you I love the best. Your legs, your breasts. Mrs. Fried Chicken, you're gonna be in words death, created by Southern Black women to serve masses guests. And then toward the end of that, it says, who cares if the swine is mixed with rat, cat, and dog combined? Yes, I eat the shit to death. Ain't that some shit? I'ma eat some shit until what I'm eating kills me. And I choose to do that. Why? Because that's just what N words do. So I don't know if you guys know where that comes from, but that's from Nas and Busta Rhymes, a song called Fried Chicken. I think that's the name of it. But I've always liked that song because it really made me think when I heard it. And so as he was talking, I was trying to rap. It was horrible, right? But Busta Rhymes was talking about fried chicken. He was describing the process, and then they go on to talk about the swine, the pig being rat, cat, and dog, and all of that. But basically saying we know these things, but yet we eat it anyway. We know those things are going to kill us eventually, right? Like fried chicken is not bad for you if you eat it every once in a while. But we all know somebody who probably eats it 2, 3, 4 times a week, right? Now, we also know that your body cannot recognize fried foods because of the molecular structure is foreign to our body. And oftentimes fried foods becomes carcinogenic, which means that it can cause cancer. And listen, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, but I do know a couple of things. And so I want to have a conversation with you all and Donovan to see what it is we need to do to make better choices. Because listen, there will be no revolution if you can't run in it because you out of breath, you're out of shape, you got high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, stroke. You ain't gonna be able to fight no revolution. You ain't. The only spook by the door you're gonna be is the one in the coffin if you don't do something different, right? When I say you, I mean me as well. I don't sit up here to be like, oh, I'm perfect. I eat a salad every day, which I have for the last week or so, but still, that's not important right now. So, what do we need to do better and raise awareness amongst our people that if you don't eat better, exercise, and drink some water, you might not be here very much longer? Donovan, what say you?
Yeah, the funny thing is that I'm glad you bring this topic up because a lot of us don't realize in our minds, we still think we're that 20-year-old, 18-year-old, scrapping fine, walking brick house we were, in our mind. Yeah, I mean, and some of you guys are still, physically. But reality is we are, at least I am, Demetra's only 25. I'm in that realm to where any one of my friends, based on our lifestyle, we could be taken out at any time. Heart attacks, COVID. I mean, all these things. Remember when you were younger and you thought they say, well, I'm 30 years old. Remember you were like, damn, you're old. Now we think 30 is, woo, that's just too young. That's a baby, you know? And, you know, and it is sad because you're seeing people that should be here that aren't. And then and let's say if you still are here and you're in the hospital, you might not have died, but they just killed your bank account in expenses, you know, to prolong your life. But yet we know smoking is bad for you. We know obesity is bad for you. You got these women, and I'm just saying, unfortunately, you got women out here who think being a BBW, a beautiful Black woman, is great. And, you know, oh, it's okay to be that. And like I said, everybody's going to have different sizes and stuff. I understand that. But when they try to normalize it like it is something good, it really isn't, because, again, you're carrying that extra weight. Doctors will tell you it's not good to get pregnant when you are obese. That is not good. And so on and so on and so forth. So I think this is a really great topic, and I look forward to hearing some of the ideas that you guys have. And a real quick note, I recently started taking active charcoal within my vitamin supplement diet, which helps with my digestion and cholesterol.
Oh, activated charcoal?
Yeah, activated charcoal. So that's something, you know, I recently figured out, well, not figured out, but my doctor told me I need to take that. It cuts down on your gas, and it's amazing what charcoal can do. So yeah, so let's talk about it.
All right, so I want to get to you all's comments, and thank you so much for being very patient. And I see everybody is loving your cowboy hat. Yeehaw! Especially Moni there. And let's see who else came on. Z, how you doing? And Tanaya, what's going on with you? And Moni says, Donovan, have you ever thought about professional betting? I think you would be great at it. You have some very good hunches sometimes. Or I think you meant betting, because you said betting. And I was like,
yeah, I did that in my younger years. My professional betting.
Okay. To make sure I could see you going and having a side business as a weed grower. Okay. Hey, Amanda, how you doing? You says you look cute. Thank you. And you also say, and that Black cowboy can saddle me up sometime. Donovan, can you take the hat off so these ladies can focus? Facts, not feelings. How you doing? And the Pioneer says, correct, Queen. Glow the Gene and them ate the right foods, had 25 children, drank liquor, smoked pure cigarettes. They rolled and still lived to be 109 years old and could gush you out, laugh out loud. Yes, they did, but their food was closer to the source. I mean, this stuff now, I don't know where it comes from. And they didn't have a lot of fast foods and all of that. And Z, you say good evening to all. And I used to say, I know a dude that died at 52 3 weeks ago. His father and mother buried him and he died on his birthday. Crazy. Wow. I mean, 52 is a baby. Like, you're really just getting started, right?
Well, I heard of here in Riverside, there was a couple of young kids that were like 23, 24, and one was 17 that died because they were naturally obese and they caught the COVID. I mean, their diet of what their mom was, you know, and their parents were, you know, gamers, you know, they don't exercise, they don't do that. Even the younger people are now being affected.
Right, and that's unfortunate. Hey, Monet, how you doing? And Robin says, sound like frying chicken. Yes, that's what they were doing, Busta Rhymes and Nas. They were frying chicken in that song, but they were basically, you know, talking about how it's horrible for us, and we know it, and we still partake, right? The Pioneer, he says, this is a good topic today, Queen. I'm going to try not to type so much and wear your voice out, laugh out loud. But you know, the minister can talk hours about this topic of food and health too. And I should also say that I did listen to the webcast today, the NOI, where they were talking about how to eat to live. I actually have read both volumes, How to Eat to Live 1 and 2. And, you know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad actually wrote the book, and it gives us things that we should and should not eat. And, you know, as you said the other day, Pioneer, we are supposed to be, per that book, eating once a day. But it also goes on to say that when you really get to a point in your life, you should only be eating 72 hours. So every 3 days, right? I don't know if I'll ever get that weight on purpose, but I might try. But thank you. But you can type. I mean, I'm good. I'm good. I shoot. I got this. In fact, not feeling says totally nuts. Yes, you're talking about the song. And Anais says this is wild. I'm making fried cauliflower right now. Vegan since 2012. Yes, I'm vegan as well. And I just had cauliflower rice, if you will, instead of like fried rice. So yeah, it's just about making those different switches, to be healthier. And Moni says I start off Demetra with Paul Diarco, red clover, blossom, yellow dock, burdock, age, garlic, soursop for good overall health, and along with ashwagandha, I think that's how you say it, and sarsaparilla, herbs, and cheese, raw veggies. All right, sound like you're doing good.
See, and that's good. I got a question for you, real quick, everybody in there. Okay, and Moni just talked about, how she starts off and she knows how to cook. And a lot of us in our age group, a lot of you ladies, you guys were taught by your parents or your aunt or somebody was teaching you how to do that, right? What do you tell these younger modern women that don't know how to cook? What do you tell them?
Well, you tell them to learn how to cook. I mean, YouTube is the new university, right? I got that from my brother. You can learn anything you want on YouTube. I get a lot of recipes from YouTube. And so to me, there's not really a good excuse to say, I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. Now, cooking, I think if we think about cooking in the larger scheme of things, we think about Big Mama and them, right? When they would be making everything from scratch and making these grand meals. You can do that too, but learn how to cook. And top ramen, ladies, is not, cooking. It's not even food. Like if you really break down the science of top ramen, it doesn't even really digest in your system, right? So you can learn how to cook if you really wanted to do it. But for me, I tell people, cooking is about taking your time, right? There's certain things you just can't rush. And so I hope that helps. And Olivia says, I need you all to realize that some of the prescription drugs that we are prescribed actually cause certain diseases as well, just like prednisone inflicts diabetes, but the doctor doesn't tell you that, right? Also, the doctor will not tell you that in order for you not to come see me more, exercise more, and eat better foods, fruits and vegetables, and drink water, and be stress-free and all that. They won't tell you that per se, because they know you know what? Matter of fact, they do tell you, but they know most of us won't do it, right? And so they create customers by continuous to keep us on the precipice of feeling better, but not curing us, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and what's really crazy is that diabetes is prevalent within the Black community. Prevalent. Diabetes could be eliminated if you just work out, depending on what type it is. You know what I mean? So it's like your life is in your hands, and yet you just, everybody's looking for this magic pill that's gonna solve everything. And everything, there isn't a magic pill to everything.
Correct. Robin says, I mainly eat fruits and vegetables. Sometimes I eat the white meat of the chicken. I don't eat red meat or pork. It doesn't sit right with me. Yes, and those things are kind of harder to digest. Pioneer says, when you said that song is from Nas, you're talking about the little, no, I'm not talking about Lil Nas X. Says, don't sound like something he'd be rapping about while riding on a pink pony with Elton John. No, I was talking about Nasir Jones, if you will. And Moni says, but I really don't care for a lot of the so-called vegan dishes that they promote. It's supposedly to be so healthy when in fact it's not. Like the kind you have at Whole Foods is nasty. Yeah, so unfortunately, I'll tell you guys a really quick story. When I first went vegan in 2014, I lost a lot of weight. I was at my smallest, like 143, which is pretty small for me, right? And so they didn't have all of the manufactured vegan foods that they have now, like your Impossible Burgers and your Gardeins and just all of those things. It was just really making your own stuff from fruits and vegetables. But now it has gotten just as bad as, like eating fast food. So you can eat an Impossible Burger. And they said the Impossible Burger is actually worse for you than a real burger. But they go under the guise of it being vegan. And so we think, oh, it's vegan, it's healthier. But that's not necessarily true, because French fries and Oreos are vegan. So let's see here. Donovan, he says, I have been taking active. Okay, so I read that one. And NIE, so you said that already. He says it's Sunday, so people are eating that gospel bird. Yes, indeed. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, chicken is good. It's just not good for you. And you also say Red cabbage spring rolls today. That sounds really good. I had some spring rolls last week. Mona says, Demetra, let's do a show on the beauty of using avocado butter and mango and aloe butter, which is a lot more lighter than the shea butter, moisturizes our skin, and tone is similar. We have to hydrate. Yes, indeed. One day we will. I'm going to start making some more videos on that kind of stuff. So you guys seem to like that. Fly on the wall, if I haven't already. Hello, you says, I've talked to a lot of people that do not realize that middle age is 30 years old, because if you think about it, most people die in their 60s, and that is a very good point. And unfortunately, it is true. Like I said, with the technology that is today and all the knowledge we have, a child born today should live to be 120 years old. And so we are doing something wrong, because as I said at the top of the show, we are going backwards. Our ancestors in slavery, their lifespan was on average in the 40s. And so we need to fix that, right? Jafia says, I'm not vegan, but I have plenty of healthy eating habits. Cactus is extremely healthy and one of my favorite foods. Yes, they call it nopales. And Moni says, I think you could go for a micro blading, Demetra, that deals with the eyebrows. And it will be nice if you could start wearing some different eyeshadows. I think that would look good on you. It's fun. You know, eyeshadows don't look good on me. I don't like a whole lot of color on my face other than lipstick, because I like the more of a natural look. But thank you. Pioneer says, Donovan, that black hat with the white in it goes smooth with that hat, white shirt with the black in it. I might snatch that outfit and rock it in the mall. Watch out now, cat daddy. Oh.
Well, the funny thing is, because it is Sunday and stuff, I went to go get some snacks and stuff, and I don't know what it is about cowboys and stuff, but women love cowboys. I don't know what it is.
Maybe we'll find out by the end of the day. And Moni says, everybody in Detroit know that the Lions suck. Oh, wow. And they're not never going to win. It's a waste of time and hyping these losers up every year. Why waste money every time they lose? Well, damn. Frank, how you doing? And the Pioneer says, we need to go back to owning our own land and growing our own food. And yes, that's what student minister Ishmael said today during the webcast, that we need to get back to that, growing our own stuff, because he mentioned Whole Foods. Even stuff in Whole Foods is not really all that whole, right? It's a good point. Mona says, I said, one of the things to Demetra that we must do is start incorporating plants into our diet, whether you steam or you microwave it from time to time. Fresh fruits as well as constantly is good for us. I don't really use the microwave much because it does kill your foods and it deadens the nutrients. And so it's not really that good for you.
Ain't nobody going to tell me where I can feed my kids. I'm a strong, independent black woman. Just because I'm on food stamps don't mean nothing. That's my money. I put into it. I can feed my kids whatever they want to feed them. So you want to feed them? Do you want to feed them? That's the kind of pushback we get from our young women when it comes to, getting a better diet and all that other stuff that they need to do.
Who you been talking to?
How many of you guys have seen like these young kids, and you'll see somebody with their young kids and the kid is obese and you can tell the kid is like big, they're eating, and the mother just keeps feeding them as like a comfort food or something anytime they want something like that, and yet we are too afraid to say something to that person.
Yeah, as they say, you can't tell people what to do with their kids, right? You could try, but Anastasia, how you doing? He said it's a combination of lack of knowledge and access of preventative care, food deserts, and poverty. Yes, indeed, you're absolutely right. And Frankie says most people that got the cocoa die from pneumonia, heart attacks, and the flu. Okay, and Olivia says everything is damn near bad for you nowadays. You do know that even lots of vegans, vegetarians, and others that don't smoke and eat organic still end up with cancer or diabetes, etc. Yes, I do know that. I mean, we're not dealing in absolutes here, but we do know that people who adhere to more of a vegetarian or vegan diet, they are healthier than people who do not, right? Again, as I said, being a vegan doesn't mean that you're always doing it right, because Oreos and French fries and a whole host of other foods that are vegan, but they're not good for you because they hold a lot of sugar, fats, and salt and all of that. So close to unadulterated food is the best. And Penelope, how you doing? It says, I get annual physicals. I take my daily liquid multivitamins, green smoothies for breakfast daily, and I cook all the foods I love to eat. Also, I drink a good amount of water. Yes, drinking water is the best, right? I try not to drink sodas. It's every once in a while I do it, but for the most part, is water. And Mr. Pirate Brain, how you doing? He says, peace, Demetra and Donovan. With this collapse, we might have to eat every 3 days. Yeah. So far I've gone to the store and I cannot, because I usually go to the fruits and vegetables. I'm not really inside of the aisles where there may be a shortage. And so it doesn't seem like very many people want to eat a lot of vegetables, like that. So I think I'm good right now. And Moni, you say some of the things I enjoy is vegetables like I had today, and I'm paying the price, stuck on the toilet constantly. But I also got to break the snack attack. That's a pretty hard picture, but it takes time. Yes, indeed. And we'll get into that after I read the rest of these comments.
Don't they say that you're supposed to at least go do a number 2 at least once a day?
At least, yes.
The norm. Yeah.
And they say if your system is really moving, you should do it every time that you eat something, right? But I don't know, really how that works for average people. And let's see here, Anastasia, you say they've made eating healthy expensive. Yes, and we're going to get into that as well. And Penelope says, my eyes are clear, my weight is good, and my skin is soft and flawless. Okay, now. And Frank
Penelope, says, I'd like to form my own opinion on that.
Stop it. Frank says, Demetra, true, they need to stop being lazy and learn how to cook. Yeah, it's just really that simple. At one point in time, nobody knew how to cook until they learned, right? And Aisha says, I love ashwagandha. It's a brain tonic. It also is an aphrodisiac. Okay.
Ooh, okay. I learned something new, right? Let me write that down. Right. I'm a big kale eater, Demetra. What do you know about kale in regards to its health?
I know that I used to eat kale, but if you're reading How to Eat to Live, it tells you not to eat it because it's hard to digest and all of that. I know that I used to be able to eat kale, but I can't eat it anymore. It's kind of hard on my system. A lot of things have become that way for me, so I don't know. And Penelope says, I fell back in love with cooking during the lockdown 2020. Same here. I would attest to that as well. The Pioneer says, like most Americans, I do eat more than I need to. I eat mostly out of comfort because I drink occasionally. I like how you put occasionally in capital letters. He says, but don't use drugs. So food and sex, when I get it, laugh out loud, are my basic comforts. Okay, well, do what you got to do in moderation. And Robin says, I've had younger Black women on the job come to me to get cooking tips. I don't mind giving cooking tips. Yeah, but that's what we're supposed to do as the older women in the community. We are supposed to pass those things on and teach the younger women how to do those things, right? But it's hard to do when your mama is making top ramen and Hot Pockets. And Jafia, you say medication was not created to cure. No, it's created to keep you on the edge of feeling better, but not being cured, right? And Penelope says, I partake in cannabis and occasional wine. Now, I have some CBD oil that I rub on my face every night and on my feet. And I'm telling you, after I put that on, I'm like, because, it's just really soothing. And so Olivia says, you don't tell them anything, Donovan. You bring them into the kitchen to teach them. I don't have any kids, but I have to. I have raised 2 and learned from my grandparents and culinary graduate. And Anais says, food, quote unquote, make many men impotent. Eat right, freak right. Let me write that down. I like that. I'm just kidding. So let me repeat that. Food, quote unquote, makes many men impotent. Eat right, freak right. And that is absolutely true. A lot of people will argue and say, oh, no, it's age. But it really does have a lot to do with the food that you're eating, right? And I told y'all, y'all, for y'all men, if you have never been with a vegan woman, I suggest you try that. And that's all I'm going to say because I'm a lady. And Sunlight says, yes, indeed, there is vegan junk food everywhere, right? And Frank says, okay, so you're talking to Anais, and Olivia says, that's not true. The statement was not true at all, Donovan. So I don't know which statement that is that you made. And Anais says, vegan junk food diet isn't the best. No, not at all. It's even, sometimes they say it's worse than eating food that is not vegan. So be very careful. Hey, Jonelle, how you doing? And Z says, hell, I tell the youngest what I was told. You want to eat, learn how to cook, period. However, I do encourage a healthier way to prepare meals opposed to what I was taught coming up in the 70s and 80s. Yes.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this, Demetra. You're a mom and stuff like that. And like I said, these modern women, I like I said, numbers do not lie. Numbers do not lie. If you cook at home, you would get more per serving cooking at home than if you took your kids to McDonald's. Is that not correct?
That's absolutely right. And you know what you're putting into your food. And as you know, student minister Ishmael said today, you know, and as the Muslims always say, and I've heard my dad say a lot of times, keep your mouth out of the white man's kitchen and keep your mouth out of other people's kitchen, basically saying, prepare your food at home. You're going to save more, you know. I mean, try taking a family of, I don't know, 4 or 5 out, depending on where you go. You go to a decent restaurant, it could cost you at least $100. Now, what could you do with $100 if you were to go to the grocery store and prepare meals? And also, you know what you're eating. And I want to say this too before I get to these comments, especially now with these worker shortages going on. They don't have a lot of people working in these restaurants. And I gave you guys this example before. The drive-through line is backed up. The lobby is full of people wanting their food. They have an extreme shortage in the kitchen. Let's say they drop something. Do you think they're going to make that over? Or do you think they're taking, and I'm not even trying to shade or shame those people working in the fast food restaurants, because I get it. But do you think they're going to do all of the steps, the clean, you know, washing their hands and all of that, make sure that they're giving you the best food possible? Probably not. So it's probably a good idea to eat at home. You know,
yeah, a lot of cross contamination too.
oh God, yes.
Even if they have the gloves on, people don't realize that you have gloves, you're cross contaminating even worse than if it was your bare hands.
Got it. Okay. And Penelope says, I use coconut oil as a skin oil and shea butter for my scalp. Yes, indeed. It's best stuff. And Antoine, how you doing? He says, hello, Queen Demetra, Brother Donovan, and Room. And Aiden, how you doing? He says, nations are using cockroaches for chicken feed. Ugh. Well, you know, chickens, they don't care what they peck. They don't discriminate at all. They don't say, oh, there's a bug. Oh, there's some, you know, poop. There's some, they just peck and they eat. And they say that oftentimes chickens are just as bad as pigs because they don't discriminate either what they put in their bodies. And then we ingest it. So, and he says, my plan is to live another 60 years at least, you and me both, and be sexy too. In fact, Not Feeling says, I have not eaten meat in 15 years. I have not had a cold and only got the flu one time. The meat and processed food is what's making us sick. Yes, indeed. I mean, it just is. I know it tastes good. Trust me. I like the taste of meat, but I don't like how it makes me feel, right?
Yeah, you know, and I agree with you, Facts Are Feeling. Like I said, I look at these kids. Some of these kids are just, you know, the little girls are being developed, you know, way in advance, and the boys are just gigantic, and it's just messed up. And I'm looking at these kids like, it just doesn't make sense how they're being developed and what they're eating, all the steroids in the food and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And the partner says, I think a lot of these that people are being given as babies are contributing to a lot of the diseases that many of our people suffer from, like asthma, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, etc. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on there. And I want to get to these comments so we can kind of talk that out just a little bit more. And I used to say, I love the Cowboys. Well, that makes 2 of you. And Olivia says, so you don't even know the actual history of Cowboys? Well, I know the history of Cowboys because I went to the Cowboy Museum here in Texas, Richmond, Texas, to be exact. No, I'm sorry, Roseman, Texas. And Larry, oh gosh, I have his book over there, but I don't want to go get it because it's too far. But he has this, is a black cowboy, and he has the history of the Cowboys, and that Cowboys actually originated with us as black people, and the white people hijacked our stuff, as they always do, no secret, right? And made it seem like it was theirs. But the Cowboys actually came from slaves back in the day. They called them cow boys to demean them, not cowmen or cowboys, because they were put in charge of the cows, you know, to wrangle the cows and all of that. And so that name just really stuck. And, you know, the rodeos and all that kind of stuff came in. And again, the white people hijacked it from them. So I do know that. Okay. I met the man himself.
Right. And then one of the derivatives of these cowboys was what you guys have known as the Buffalo Soldiers, which was one of the premier elite units in the western part of the United States that, you know, they actually fought the Indian Wars, and they kind of took care of the West and stuff like that. They came from the experience of being cowboys and having that knowledge. And the leader of World War II, a guy named Black Jack Pershing, John Pershing. He was named Blackjack because the troops that he commanded before he went to World War I were black troops. That's where he got the Blackjack moniker from. So some of our most elite troops, when we still had horses and stuff in our army, were the black troops and the Buffalo Soldiers.
So I'm going to get back to these comments. So yes, Larry Callies, he has actually Roseburg, Texas. I went with my niece and my daughter. We saw a Netflix special and it was on there, and we went and visited, and it was just us three in there with him, and he gave us the tour, and we got to do the lasso and everything. And, he told us all about it. He's actually writing a book, and he's gonna, email me when it's ready. So I know. Anyway, let me get back to it. And so Jafia says, Donovan knows that he's looking good, and that that is why he's smiling like a Cheshire cat. Okay. And Anastasia says, rich people know our food is trash and food is life. The Waltons have privatized water. So you talk about Walmart. And the Pioneer says, I think a lot of our people want to eat better, but they live in food deserts and under destitute conditions like the street life, where they can't fix fresh fruits and vegetables and cook them right. We're going to get into all of that. I just want to get to the comments, but keep them coming on. Flying Wall says, I'm not trying to be mean, but I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I point out all the older women who cannot walk without a cane at 50 years old, and tell her to watch your weight. Well, that's not being mean. You're telling her right. And let's see here. Let me get to these other comments, Donovan, because I am behind and I don't want to be. But I lost that comment. Okay, here we go. And Frankie say no soda at all. The Pioneer says it usually takes big money to live a good life, like an average person who, was able to live back in the 50s on a moderate income, like owning a home and eating 3 square meals a day. And Aisha says, my nephew is morbidly obese, and my prayer is he becomes healthy. Mine too. Hello, Thunder. How you doing? Jafia says, I love vegetables, especially the dark, colorful ones. And Marty says, Donovan, I enjoy your hat. You can keep it on and just keep looking delicious, like a beautiful sundae that needs a lot of bananas and strawberries and cherries put on top. Any day you're ready to come to Michigan, baby. I added on the baby. Dennis, how you doing? Long time no see. And the Pioneer says, I don't agree with that. A person shouldn't be defecating 2 or 3 times a day. I don't think that's healthy. I'm not sure who came up with that one. I'm just telling you what I heard. I don't know how true it is, but some people do. Hey, Tammy, how you doing? You says, you guys look great. I love your hair, D. I'm loving the hat, Donovan. Thank you. And you are beautiful as well. And Penelope says, Donovan, you see my Facebook picture recently? Okay.
No, I'm looking right now. I'm trying to find it. Send me a link.
And Jafia says, even learning how to cook is not a guarantee that they'll cook the right food. So yeah, there's a little bit more to it, but it's not hard to figure out. And Jonelle says, being in the governmental Squid Game. Oh man, did you see that? That whole series on Netflix, Squid Games, is a trip. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a trip. Anyway, the governmental Squid Game, with so much chemical warfare being waged on us, less is best. It's wise to cook at home as much as possible. Visit storefinalcall.com to get both books, 1 and 2, How to Eat to Live by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I do have both of them highlighted through and through. And the Pioneer says, a lot of our people drink alcohol because we learned it from Caucasians, so we do it. We originally used it as a medicine, not as entertainment, but Caucasians started drinking it to help them relax. Nightcaps, right?
Yeah. Have you guys, real quick, have you guys noticed, like, certain cultures have an aversion to alcohol, like the Native Indians? A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have an aversion to alcohol. Have you guys noticed that even within our culture, there's a lot of us that have an aversion to alcohol, cigarettes, and so on and so on and so forth?
Tis true. And Moni says, Donovan is not so much what you tell them, show them. For example, some women lose their children in foster care system. You teach them how to cook, teach them to take herbal supplements. Pioneer says, most Caucasian men I knew have a drink at least a day, a drink or 2 before having enough courage to go up and talk to women. Most Black men don't need that. They need alcohol to be social with each other. Moni says, YouTube can learn just about anything on that, and Instagram. So it's a lot better now, but you still want to keep some things up if you can't get out and exercise, as I can't for the most part eat good. Yes. And you also say, my father says, keep an herb book that I began to read and learn it as a small child. And so that's how I learned about the herbs. And Demetra, instead of using store-bought moisturizers, make your own. Oh, yes. We're going to get into it. Jafia says chickens are nastier than pigs. And that's what I have heard. And Moni says, remember to make sure, even though you may not be interested in cosmetology any longer, maybe you can retake your written exam over, therefore get a chance to to be a dermatologist. I don't have a desire to be that. And Jonelle says, right, the gloves are even more hazardous than that's why medical staff trash them ASAP after each use. Very true. And Anastasia says the elders are competing with the younger people versus advising them. Can't teach them anything if you in the club with them. That is very true. Mona says, by that I mean they can keep your skin up from head to toe, and that's why what a lot of women don't do, they don't even see a podiatrist to make sure fungus is not growing from which the gut oftentimes, or comes from the gut oftentimes. And then Robin says kids are bigger because of all the steroids pumped into the foods and because of a lot of parents don't cook at home, so they eat out a lot. That is true. And Pioneer says, Donovan, a lot of these kids are growing up bigger, but they are weaker than their parents and grandparents. Despite their size, they are cushy and weak. And Gerard, how you doing? Long time no see. You says, I know shrimp are insect of the ocean, but it's hard to give them up. Well, if you repeat what you just said, they are the insect of the ocean. They are the bottom feeders, and they are like the chicken, really, of the sea. I know Charlie the tuna is supposed to be, but the shrimp really are the chicken of the sea because they eat all the stuff on the bottom. Again, they don't discriminate.
Well, they're really the urchins. Remember, I keep talking about the street urchins.
Yes, right, exactly. And Randy, how you doing? It says the Lone Ranger was a black man. Yes, indeed. And I learned that from Mr. Callies, and he told me that. They hijacked all of that, and he went into the story and everything too. So it's pretty cool. And Kubler, how you doing? He says, happy Sunday, everyone. A long time no see to you as well. And Jonelle says, even the Lone Ranger rather has its roots in us, just like hockey has its origin with us. Yes, indeed. Penelope says, I don't care to be darker. Okay. Brother Samuel, how you doing? He says, out of the white man's kitchen, when you think of the meaning of kitchen, it's a place where things are manufactured. So it could also mean we begin to manufacture for self and do for self. Surely the ninth richest nation can do for self. So the ninth richest nation being black people, right? In America. Good point. And Thunder says, if you grow it, my comments jumped up. Let's see. If you grow it, you know what's in it, and you can save a lot of money. With that money, get yourself out of debt. And once you're out of debt, use that money to invest in stock markets, US or foreign. Good point. And Brother Sammy says, my great uncle was one of the Buffalo Soldiers. Oh, pretty cool.
Right. See, like I said, you never know what you learn from these shows.
And Penelope, you says useless information to you, and I'm not sure what you're referring to. And the Pioneer says, and the 10-gallon hat we attribute to cowboys, known as a cowboy hat, was taken from Mexicans near the border. Mexicans were wearing them first, and then the white dudes started to wear them. Okay.
Well, isn't it funny how white people, wherever they go, they appropriate other people's parts of other people's cultures because they have no culture of their own?
Yes. Sunlight says defecation equals clean gut. That is true because a lot of people don't go for like days and days on end, in longer than that. And yeah, it's just stuff that's stuck in your stomach. And you can end up getting very sick because your gut is the epicenter of your body, right? That's where all the nutrients and everything comes from, and it goes. And so easy, you says D, extra virgin olive oil cold pressed with freshly squeezed lemon juice has many health properties. Okay, so basically I'm assuming that we're eating that. I put some olive oil on my food and stuff like that. And Thunder says, eat at home and save money and invest in real estate or gold and silver or stock, or invest in a home garden and sell the extra veggies. Yes, especially in our neighborhoods, we know that we have food deserts. And so if we are able to grow vegetables and we have excess, yeah, go out to the community, sell them or give them away. I don't know. Pioneer says, I know, Queen, I've had the same thing over the years, but it doesn't seem right. You know how your cornhole burns from defecating and wiping too much? How would you have time to do anything else? Well, I'm just telling you, some people do have extra fast metabolisms and they do expel faster and more often than people who don't. So that's just the fact, I would think, right?
I would have to say, being younger, my metabolism is really fast, so I didn't go to the bathroom like for every 3 days. It would be every 3 days for me because my everything I ingested was burned up. But as I get older, of course, your metabolism slows down. So yeah, that could happen. And then as far as your scraping of your irritating of your orifice. In the military, we used to call that John Wayne paper because it was really rough and tough. So we would call home and say, please send some Charmin.
Sounds painful. Brotham, how you doing? It says, I didn't know brother Don was a pretty boy. He's been hiding it in the glasses. Yeah, Donovan think Donovan could be a whole host of people. It could be David Ruffin. He could be Raphael Sadiq. He says he looks like Denzel. But I mean, he could be a bunch of people. I don't know. You guys tell me. One who cares, how you doing? He says, grand evening, Demetra and Donovan. And Robin says, if you're eating right, yeah, you can have 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. It's only toxins and waste. Who wants to hold on to that? That's what I'm saying, right? And Jafia says, yes, we do, Donovan. Alcohol was introduced to Native Americans centuries ago. True. Mr. Pirate Brain, you say, if you look at animals, they poop after every meal. We should be doing the same. I'm just telling y'all, that's what I heard is, we should be doing the same too. And the Pioneer says, Donovan, you are absolutely correct that Native Americans can't handle alcohol. It all but destroyed their communities. It used to be illegal to serve Native Americans alcohol.
Right. And remember this, Pioneer, even if you were a slave in the slave days, they said that was one of the slavery and sharecropping years. That was the one thing that led Black men to want white women. They didn't want to serve them alcohol, so.
You're right. And let's see here. And Kubler, he says, do y'all think soul food will slowly phase out within the coming generations? Nope. It won't, because for one, it tastes good. And people, and I hate to say this about our people, and it's not just our people, but since we're talking about Black people, we are not mature enough to say to ourselves, while I would rather taste fried chicken than a salad, we won't do that. As the minister says, we were eating to live, but oftentimes people live to eat, putting a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff on your food, frying everything that you eat. Like, you just cannot come to terms that I need to eat healthy, even though I don't like to eat that way. Like my brother Walter, he will tell you he despises vegetables. He hates them, but he says, I eat them because I know they're good for me. I don't eat them because I like them. I eat them because they're good for me. So when we start to mature in that way, I think we might be able to have soul food and bad foods every once in a while, but I don't know. And Aiden, you said soul food will not phase out. There you go. And the Pioneer says, but it's not just Native Americans. Most original people, including the Black and Asians, can't drink too much alcohol. We can't handle it like Caucasians. Plus, we don't need it anyway. Yeah, alcohol ages you as well. And Wilbur, if I didn't already, hello. He says stress and white supremacy is the forefront of us dying. Yes, those are big contributing factors. And Joel, how you doing? He says, Jim Crow Biden is on a rampage, shaking my head. Yeah, he's proven himself to be who we thought he was every day, right?
Yeah, and they're already putting out the numbers and trying to feel out Black people of what we're going to do. So now the narrative is they're going with the scare narrative. Well, Trump's on his way back and we got to stop Trump and we got to, that's the new scare narrative, because they're saying that 12% of Black people, his poll numbers with Black people have dropped 12%.
And counting, right?
Right.
And Thunder said, all you need is 5-gallon bucket, some dirt and seeds, or start from, he says, Home Depot or Lowe's. We can do this. Yep. I'm actually going to start a garden. I'm not a gardener at all, but I'm going to learn how to do it. It can't be that hard, right?
Well, you've been in my backyard. You see what goes on back there?
Donovan has a fruit and vegetable metropolis back there. I mean, everything you can think of, he has, right? So I told him if it ever goes down, I'm hopping his fence, period. I'm hopping his fence and I'm going to eat good. So, and Pioneer says a lot of people use drugs and alcohol to make up for what is lacking in their own genetic makeup to help them to either relax or stay alert. The original man is complete and has what he and she needs. Yes, indeed. Jonelle says the catfish lives in the muddy waters. And I'm not talking blues. Our people love that dirty fish. Yes, fried catfish nuggets, and all of that. And Moni says when you take yellow dock, either by capsule or tea, it's natural laxative, so it really flushes you out. On Saturdays and some Sundays, I will start eating a lot of vegetables like a bag and microwave them. Try steaming them if you can. And Aiden says, who can tell the difference between a natural seed and a GMO seed? I couldn't tell. So I'll be honest with you. And Moni says, that's one thing that makes me hate eating vegetables, because sometimes could go 4 to 6 times, 8 times, or even better a day. Damn. Just from eating apples, fruits, which I am a few bags. I'm going to buy a few bags tomorrow. Yes, apples are fiber. So that could be why. And thank you, Brother Sammy, for putting that link up. Listen to How to Eat to Live. And I believe that was the webcast from today. Pamela, how you doing? And happy belated birthday to you. I hope that you had a great birthday. And Joel, it says the best and the best natural laxative is a leaf called Cinnapad. Okay. And Mona says, but I think the skincare is the most important thing, and keeping hydrated with lipophilic acid and xenolinic acids that condition the skin and pull out toxins. Try this Donovan and Demetra facials. Okay, I think about it. Anastasia says, white folks. Where did it go? It jumped up. White folks have introduced alcohol and diseases to every indigenous population and have destroyed them slowly in this way. Native Americans have the highest levels of alcoholism and fetal alcohol. Yes, that is true. Randy says, remember to do your homework on the pesticides you use in your gardens. Yes.
Yeah, real quick, Randy, sure. If you go to Lowe's and Home Depot, they have a lot of organic pesticides you can use now, because a lot of people are up on what's going on with these pesticides. So yeah, if you go there, it's a little bit more expensive, but again, if you're looking for your health and not to poison yourself, I would spend a little money now to reap the benefits later.
Yep, and Robin says people who have a fast metabolism go to the bathroom a lot and is not overweight. As you get older, your metabolism slows down, which is why some women gain weight during menopausal years. Jonelle says most people don't even think to detox from the various parasites living in our bodies. We have been programmed in the European dietary, and they still eat just as savage as when they were in the caves, chewing on any and everything out of ignorance. And yeah, that raw meat that's still saying moo. And Moni says, as for Ganda, I think he meant ashwagandha. Is that what you're trying to say? And Siberian ginseng, Donovan, keeps your rock hard constantly. Kale is good when it's properly washed, not rinsed, but prepare properly. Wash with just a little bit of soap when you're eating. All right. Note to Donovan. And Aiden, you say, eat organic, but still pray over it because it may not be organic. That is very true. Moni says, when you eat kale, Donovan, you thoroughly wash it down, and it's wonderful when you cut it up. Put shallots, julienne cut with yellow carrots and purple carrots. Make it into a light salad with avocado oil. Yes. And if you're going to eat it too, it's good to massage it. Put some lemon juice and olive oil and salt, and stop watching the game and massage it.
Cowboys just scored.
and massage it really, really good and break it down. It tastes good that way. And Eli says, I was just eating some soul food my parents made for me for dinner. I hope it was good. And Samuel, you say, someone reminded me that when using herbs while on doctor medication, one should acquire a drug herb interaction book. Yeah, because some things you can take herbs in your medicine can have an adverse reaction. So yeah, that is true. And the Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, I know that toilet paper. My father worked for the state and used to bring home that industrial, quote unquote, type toilet tissue, so we didn't have to buy it. But my cousins had the Charmin. Laugh out loud. Yeah,
you definitely could tell the difference. I'm telling you.
Yes. Absolutely.
But see, wait. But Pioneer, and for those of you guys that are modern people, We call ourselves a modern country and all this other stuff, but yet people don't have bidets in their house. I have a bidet in my house. You know, and a lot of people that don't know what bidet is, that's where the water shoots up into your stuff, and it's a way better cleaning, way better.
Sounds painful. Joel says soul food is not no good for us, no matter how good it tastes and look. I totally agree with you. And Thunder says the simplest veggie to grow, and that is the heat and cold will not kill it, is Georgia collard greens. It survived the Texas heat and the freak Texas winter storm, and they'll will constantly produce food. Okay. Ramona says, now if you're going to eat kale, you can also dry it and have it as a snack. Put a little bit of olive oil or avocado oil on it and dehydrate it, just as healthy snack. But my favorite is eating seaweed. Yes, our seaweed is good. Jafia says Native Americans basically do most of their alcohol consumption on the reservations. That is true. And Wilbur says, I try everything and I can't lose weight, so it is what it is. Well, we're going to talk about it as soon as I get to the bottom of these comments. Jonelle says, better put the barbed wire up, Donovan. Nah, I get over that barbed wire, brother. If shoot, I'm gonna be like them zombies. And Pioneer says, when I say Native Americans, I'm including many Latinos because many of them are Spanish-speaking Native Americans. Most Latinos can't handle alcohol either. Those many still drink a lot anyway.
Yeah, Pioneer here in California. You know, people get upset about illegal immigration, but people don't understand is Mitt Romney has first cousins that are right across the border in Mexico, and so these people are native here. They're native because California was Mexico. And like you said, they have the same issues as, you know, the native Indians that we speak of. So, and then I'll tell you this too, like when football or the World Cup happens, there are so many Mexicans in California that get arrested, you know, because they're drunk, you know, they're just out there and they're just filling up the jails during that time.
And Moni says, Demetra, do you use vitamin C serum during the fall along with retina A cream? 25% is good for clearing up oily skin with pock marks and good for dry skin, clearing up hyperpigmentation. I don't use any of that at all. I'll tell you what I use, but I don't.
Well, real quick, funny, Moni. The funny thing is, charcoal paste they have thing for your face. It does the same thing as what you're talking about, and it's a natural type thing to do that. I mean, charcoal. I'm finding out charcoal does a lot of great stuff.
Mm-hmm. And Thunder says, and you know your grow zone, Houston and golf course zone is 9A. So I need to figure out what that is. And Eli says, just so you know, Demetra, I am a girl, not a boy. Okay. Well, thank you for informing us of that. I thought you were a boy all this time, but okay, that's good to know. And Brother Samuel says, what do you all think of Biden declaring October 8th Indigenous American Day while having a few days later the great Native American killer Columbia's Day on the 12th? That's Biden. Not surprised. Like the Biden doesn't surprise me at all.
Symbolism.
Yeah. You know, they're not gonna get rid of a Columbus Day. You know, the one of the biggest murders and connivers in American history. That's their forefathers, so they're gonna honor him one way or the other. Pioneer says, I tried to be a vegetarian a few times, but it didn't work out for me. It made my muscles twitch. What works for me is plenty of vegetables, chicken, fish, and fruit. Well, if that was what works for you, then great, you know. And Antoine says, voting for the lesser two evils, you're still voting for evil. Hold your vote. No reparations, no vote. Yes, indeed. And Brother Samuel says, by the way, links are actual books. Oh, wow. How to Eat to Live, books 1 and 2.
So basically, it's basically the free books via the links, correct?
Yep. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. And Aiden says, well, no vote. And Willie says, I petitioned the city for an empty lot in my neighborhood to start a community garden, but when they found out where I live, they turned me down. So I started one in my backyard. That's what I'm talking about, by any means necessary.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad you brought that up, Willie, because recently, and Demetra will tell you, Edgemont's one of the oldest neighborhoods in my city. And I live close to Edgemont, so I call myself Edgemont as well. But they're going to put a marijuana dispensary in Edgemont. We're going to vote on that Thursday. They want to put a marijuana dispensary where low income, very poor people live in the heart of Edgemont, where that lady's house was that we went to. But this is what they do. If it's a low like something that's going to benefit you and it's good for you depending on where you live. Oh no, they don't want no gardens in the hood. They don't want that. But let it be a liquor store or a weed dispensary or a gun shop. Oh yeah, put that in the hood. No problem.
Yep. And Pioneer says, plus, if a woman is pushing them out, quote unquote, 3 times a day, you're bound to catch them vapors from her. You wildin'. Thunder says, zone 9A, you can grow just about anything: peaches, plums, air, airy, air, some cherries, some bananas, guavas, limes, oranges, figs. Try the Black Mission fig. Oh my God, you will not be disappointed.
Wow, wait, Thunder, have you been in my backyard? I got to check my cameras.
Exactly. And I says, never take herbs and allopathic medicine together. Herbalists warn against it. Yes. Pioneer says, I know what a bidet is. I saw a lot of them when I was over in Europe. I thought it was a drinking fountain at first. Laugh out loud. I was wondering why they put it next to the toilet. I know.
Yeah, a lot of Americans think it's a drinking fountain. They really do. They're like, what is this?
Did you drink out of it, brother? And you say, the entire concept of bidets come from Black people. The Moors taught Europeans to use water to clean themselves after urination and defecation. And so they incorporated it into their plumbing. Yes.
And in Asia, bidets are very, very big, and like Vietnam and all these little places like that. I was surprised they didn't have any bidets in Central America and the Dominican Republic and stuff like that, which is very surprising to me. But yeah, I mean, especially for women, it is a awesome thing for women's hygiene, So I know we're not used to it. A lot of people don't want to try it, but it's a lifesaver. It changed my life.
Yes, indeed. And Moni, I will look at those emails. I promise you. I will look at them tomorrow morning when I'm back at my desk. And Thunder says, if you're growing tropical fruits, soursop, mangoes, etc., put them in big pots and you'll have to protect them during the cold weather. Cover them or bring them inside. You sound like you know what the heck you doing. And Jonelle, you say charcoal makes a great toothpaste as well. Yes, and a great soap and all that, because charcoal draws out impurities and toxins out of your body. So, of course, if you're brushing your teeth with it, it does that as well. Jafia says the Mexicans are not only native of the 500,000 of land that was either stolen or won from Mexico. That includes 6 Western states. That is true. Denise, how you doing? And you say, hey, Demetra, I shared this and told them you're live and encouraged them to come join the live chat. And the topic is soul food. Don't know if they will. We'll know if they will, but I appreciate you so much for sharing that. And Moni says, Donovan knows he looks delicious and that cat in him is cool. He reminds me of a Sphinx cat, just really free spirit and fun. You'll always be my special brown sugar delicious. That is.
Well, Moni, the only reason Demetra has me on the show is for the likes and the looks.
Eye candy. The black licorice candy. I'm just kidding. And Robin says, my parents have a large garden in their backyard. I love it. Yes, my grandmother and my mom grew some stuff as well. They had
wait. What your mom grew was the 70s. That's not legal. You can't grow that.
And Randy says, what works for me is those tomahawk steaks and rotisserie chicken. I'm hooked. And Willie says, hell, I'm gonna grow marijuana too. Then be careful, brother. Jafia says they also don't mind those nasty Chinese restaurants all over the hood. What? Yeah, when I moved to Texas, I didn't even know what a chicken and rice house was, but they have a lot of chicken and rice restaurants, and they are all in our neighborhoods. What's really going on, right? And we eat it. And Marcus, thank you so much for sharing the link. I appreciate you, brother. That's okay. And you also say, sorry, guys, was on the line and could not get off. I was super busy, but I'm pushing it right now for us. Marcus, you good. Me and Marcus had a long conversation the other night about our Shiba Inu. He was concerned and he called and I was like, it's okay, brother. They gonna get it together. We gonna be straight. And we were. So Thunder says, and there is nothing better than homegrown sweet potatoes. If you don't have space, learn how to guerrilla garden. Guerrilla gardening is a garden that you put on property that is not yours, like the city. Oh, that's good to know. And Jonelle says, when it comes to Columbus, all of their tricks and deceit, as Hillary Clinton, Charlemagne the God Is it working? Right. Finder says, hell no, queen. You know good and doggone well I'm not going to drink out of it. Even if it was a water fountain that's next to a toilet. Laugh out loud. The Mario and them might, but the Pioneer won't. I just had to ask. Robin says Donovan loves teasing us with that cowboy hat, but I'm still waiting for him to come on the live in his Speedos. Then I might bid. I'm waiting. The bid will go down.
Well, actually, I'm sitting in some shorts right now. No.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. And Aiden says, next time, tell them soul food recipes are being given away and this site will crash. You know what? Right. Are we giving away coupons to Popeyes or something? And Denise says, I used to be a Chinese food eater until some vagrants with the phone took took a picture of a skinned. We don't know what it was to this day. Animal of some.
Well, I know that this sounds really bad, but have you guys noticed that whenever there's a Chinese or Vietnamese restaurant in the Black neighborhood, remember you used to have a bunch of cats and stray dogs? All of a sudden, you don't see any stray dogs and cats.
Wait. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. She says, I used to be a Chinese food eater until some vagrants with a phone took a picture of a skinned, we don't know what to this day animal of some kind on the back porch of a restaurant. I gotta put that up for y'all that can't get what I'm saying. Oh my God.
But has anybody ever noticed that though? Whenever those restaurants are in our communities, you don't see any more stray dogs or cats?
Okay.
Or rats.
Oh God. AJ, how you doing? And bro, them, he said, bottom line, end of the day, OHAS stole everything they got. Pioneer says, sis, do you know how sultry you sound in your sexy voice and those earrings jingling, laugh out loud, especially with your hair fixed like Anita Baker today? Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And Joel says, I have 30 million shares in Shiba Inu. It's going to the moon, Demetra. Yes, and I have a bunch too. We are going to be rich. All we need is 1 penny. 1 penny will change the game for us. So let's hope so, right? And Thunder says, Zone 9-8 okra, tomato, passion fruit, Chinese cabbage. For your tomato plants, use fish heads or Epsom salt. Fish heads, okay. And Denise says,
wait. When you said use fish heads, you talk about for the fertilizer, correct?
I'm assuming. And Denise says, it made me so sick inside. I could imagine. Oh my God. That caught me off guard right there. I ain't gonna lie. And Pioneer says, since we're talking about diet and eating right foods, we should talk about how the vegetables should be cooked. You know, Glotagene and them used to cook the vegetables until they turn.
Yeah, they turn into soup, and they were using that pressure cooker.
Y'all really got me. Oh my God. Turned into soup. Yes, you know, like ever eat collard greens that melt in your mouth? I don't know if that's really how it's supposed
to be. Okra is just like, this is just done.
Joe, now you say chow.
Chow meow, I'm telling you.
Y'all better quit. I'm not gonna make it. And Jaffiah says, laugh out loud. Yes, Donovan, you're right. And Thunder says, Zone 9 peanut, butternut squash, sweet peas, yellow squash, zucchini, and Meyer lemons. I like those lemons. They're very sweet. And Sunlight says, I don't understand why people differentiate between eating dogs and cats as opposed to any other animal. It's a culture thing, right? Because there's a lot of places where they won't eat cows. They consider them sacred. So, and Robin says, what happened? I lost it because Denise was talking about what some vagrant had did. Pioneer says, sis, brother Donovan is going to get your channel flagged and shut down talking about Chinese restaurants and stray cats coming up missing. Laugh out loud. Who needs a million man signature? Laugh out loud. Yeah, Donovan, behave. Oh, gosh. And where did I go?
Well, I always say this. Like I said, I travel a lot, and especially I was raised in Asia and stuff like that. And the best advice I can tell you is, and this is what a lot of Americans do, and they shouldn't do it. Do not ask what it is you're eating. Try it first. If your palate doesn't like it, it will reject it. Trust me, you will kick it out. No problem.
I don't think so, brother. I'm gonna ask what I'm eating. Okay, you crazy. And Anna says, I love you. Chinese food, unidentifiable meat. Y'all wrong. Y'all, oh my God. AJ says, hey, I'm doing good, and you were doing fabulous. And Thunder says,
I've been watching your page, and I guess you're on a health kick too, and working out and stuff like that. The results are looking very, very good.
And that's right. And Thunder says, and if you notice, the food that they serve is not the food you see them eating. Okay, well, I don't really go up in there at all, so I don't know. And Rick says, hey, family, Demetra, I checked in late. And how you doing, by the way? It says, and thought you were interviewing the great Bass Reeves. Yeah, he was Sheriff Clark earlier, and so he's representing his cowboy gear. I guess he's hoping they will win. And Anais says, where can you buy Shiba? Shiba Inu can be on crypto.com. And let me see, what do I have here?
There's a crypto app you can download from the store.
So crypto.com, Coinbase, I think you can get it on several other apps, but I have it on crypto.com. And the Pioneer says, I'm telling you now, if the Chinese cook it out, eat it, they know how to make everything taste good. Laugh out loud. It took the pandemic and a shutdown to pull my, I think you meant ass out of those Chinese buffets. Well, thank God, right? And Jafia says, I stopped eating Chinese food 20 years ago when I went to college. My roomie bought Chinese food with a rat's tail in it. Robin says, I'm back. My screen went black when Demetra bust out laughing. Yeah, it was probably good because I lost it. Thunder says, yes, fish heads for fertilizer. Trust me, my cherry tomato tasted like it had sugar in them. Okay. And Anais says, people cook the hell out of collards. They cook them all day long. Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to do that, but it tastes better, right? Like soup. Mr. Pyrebrain says, I hope Shiba Inu hits $1. Then I will be irreversibly rich. Yes, man. If it, whoever it was, I forget who was, said they have 30 million. They will have $30 million if it hits $1. So,
do you know what's sad about that? Again, here's some currency or stock or whatever you can get for what, less than a penny, and people won't do it. And then when it starts to go up, then they try to scramble to get it, and
I got it, and I got quite a few millions too. So
me too.
Yes, indeed. And Jafia says, note that when you can't identify the smell of anything in a Chinese restaurant, all of the food smells the same, so you wouldn't know what you're eating. And Joel says, I stopped eating Chinese food years ago because I started to notice their food they serve us. I never see them eating it. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, you see all those, like I said, chicken and rice houses in the hoods per se. It really makes you wonder, right?
Yeah, and now here, the Vietnamese are making an inroads, and they have this called faux soup. Faux kitchens and stuff like that. So you don't. So now you don't know what's in the soup. I mean, it could be all kinds of stuff, but it's a soup now. So.
Right. And the Pioneer says, absolutely, them green beans would be swimming in the pot with bacon and butter. It'll just be green, mushy by the time it's ready for your plate. Yep. And a lot of people will have it no other way, right? And Jafia says, my father said that if you can't identify it, don't eat it. And that's me.
Yeah, let me just say this real quick, Jafia and the Pioneer. that was a big problem for a lot of blacks that tried to become pilots in the military, because we have an aversion of how we were raised in our culture. So because, you know, you refuse to eat this or whatever, you were raised to do that, you saw a lot of people that were either got washed out because they refused to eat the bugs, or they refused to eat what they had to eat. Because it's really a mind thing. It's really more about mind and survival. But, you know, some people's stuff is so strong that they just couldn't do it. And so they ended up washing out of the program.
That would be me. Uh, and let's see here. Randy, you say a lot of Chinese businesses are nothing but fronts for their money laundering. AJ says, great. Yes, I am. I really appreciate that, Donovan. And Ricky says, I have a spiritual testimony. I recently went meatless. I haven't drank alcohol since I had that Rona about 60 days ago, and I removed the N word from my vocabulary. Man, you doing good. I got to work on the latter one. I mean, I don't use it as much as I used to, but that's good.
You were cursing out that dude this morning on the way to the store.
You would lie, ain't even been out the house today. And Robin says, God, today a rat tails in the Chinese food. Yes. And that's what they say anyway. And Pioneer says, I love Asian food in general, Chinese, Thai, Vietnamese, Filipino, etc. I used to gobble it up like Pac-Man and never had any problems with it. They might eat anything, but they know how to cook it. I mean, it's good. I've had it. It's good. I just think that you should make it at home. I mean, I know how to make some things, Asian foods at home.
Well, I will say this, okay? I'm just going to say this. And this is what our instructor told us in SEER school. That's survival, evasion, recovery, and extraction, whatever it's called. Survival school. They said, if you think eating a rat or a bug is really bad, what are some of you guys eating at home with your girlfriends and wives? It made sense to me. It clicked for me. If you can do that, you can do this. Okay.
I'm gonna just keep it moving. And Thunder says, growing something is not hard, family. It is the only way to secure your family in hard times ahead. Yes, indeed. Jafia says, if they cook collards all day, all of the vitamins are in the juice, the pot liquor. That's what they call it. And the Pioneer says, I found that just about all people of color can cook good foods. Asians, Africans, Latinos, and even most Italians can cook. They learn from us. Caucasians are the only ones who really don't know. What does Donovan say? They make seasonless soup.
Seasonless soup. You guys go to England. They don't believe in seasoning. It's like you got to, as an air crew, we used to always put hot sauce and salt and pepper packets in our bags, because if we ate somewhere, they just don't believe seasonless soup. I'm like, what is this?
Ugh. And Brother Todd, how you doing? You say, peace, brother and sister. Lose the hat, bro. Your health is wealth, because your body is the only place you have to live. Also, you have to take it everywhere you go. So might as well make it a healthy state. I totally agree with you on that. And the Pioneer says, Donovan, the reason a lot of Blacks and Latinos can't eat raw bugs and other nasty things to survive is because it's not part of our ancestral memory like the Caucasians. And I'm glad. Thunder says, let me help to save your fingers. If you grow okra, get some spineless okra, and you want some color, try red okra. Interesting fact, the okra flower is the most beautiful flower you will see. Okay. And Robin says, I worked with a Filipino nurse that would always eat chitlins dipped in pig's blood. Jesus, why? And Jonelle says, nowadays they invent meat from feces. Be careful. And Aiden says, we'll never let the land have a Sabbath, so game over. And Randy, you're laughing. And Jafia says, it makes sense to you because you are a freak, Donovan. And AJ says, yep, laugh out loud. They made bland food. And Jonelle says, nowadays, they're inventing meat from feces. Be careful. They're serving people crap burgers. Ooh. Pioneer says, Caucasians ate bugs, raw meat, and other things while they were wild up in the caves, the Caucasus Mountains. So it is a part of their ancestral memory to this day. They still love snails and raw meat. And Thunder says, if you want, Google a passion fruit flower and tell me what you think. And NIE says, I told you, Donovan, I'm tasty. I taste good. And Joel says, we better get ready for this deliberate food shortage that's coming. My advice is to get out of the city ASAP and get some land. Good advice. And Randy says, it's hard to even find a soul food restaurant. And Frankie says, I'm back. Yay. Thunder says, with collard greens, you are supposed to drink that pot liquor. Don't waste that good pot liquor. Unfortunately, though, in that pot liquor is a lot of salt and grease too, you know. And Jonelle says, this nation don't care nothing about but profit, regardless of your health. Very true. And the Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, you're right. The British have the nastiest food on the earth. Most Northern Europeans do. They even have a flavor called bolognese, which is a flavor of mayonnaise and bologna mixed. And Thunder says, and cheap fertilizer is simple as eggs, shells, and coffee grounds. Yes, that's what my grandmother used to do. Pioneer says the British simply have a nasty sense of taste, which is why them and the Germans drink nasty, think beers and ales alike. French and Italian of the South who favor the fine, flavorful wines. Yeah, they like what beans and toast for breakfast and stuff. It's like, how? And Jonelle says, we live among people that will sell you chocolate covered ants, roaches. Watch what you eat, literally. Yes. And Samuel, brother Samuel says, that's you probably don't want to get a white vegetarian cookbook because the melanin in our tongue allows us to taste things they cannot. This is one of the reasons we season food the way we do, and theirs is bland. Good point. And then he says, I went vegetarian in my youth for 3 years. Nothing special. Just remove meat, eggs, and dairy. Just replace that fourth course with another vegetable. My kids were fine. Yes, indeed. And so that is the end of the comments. And so I guess I'll give a little bit of commentary. And Frankie say cook. So oftentimes it is hard to lose weight. And I can't remember who said that they're struggling with losing weight. So forgive me. It is hard to lose weight. I've recently lost 17 pounds within the last 2 months or so. I also said it was hard, but then I had to remind myself that it's not hard because a couple of years back, I lost it. I lost all the way down to 143 pounds. Now that was a little bit small. Hey, G Rock from Compton.
Lost that booty too.
Hey,
lost that booty.
No, I did not lose my booty, boo. I mean, it wasn't, like it is now, but I do. One thing about women in my family, we gonna always have a little booty, okay? I ain't lose all of it. I still have some, but anyway, I digress, Donovan. Who was I talking to? G Rock from Compton, California. How you doing? Anyway.
G Rock must have some money if he's living in Compton. You gotta have some money to live in Compton.
So anyway, I lost a lot of weight and I exercised and I ate right. I drank my water and I was good. I was on a good mental space. That helps too. And then I put the weight back on, but admittedly, I was working out 2 and 3 times a day, right? Working out 2 and 3 times a day. And so I stopped doing that and I got comfortable in certain situations and I gained back a lot of weight, all of it, and then some. And so recently, I had to have a talk with myself and I had to make a decision and I had to say, you know what, you need to get disciplined. Yeah, it's hard to lose weight, but it's only what you make it in your mind, right? Like you get weight loss does not start in the food that you eat per se, like in your mouth. It doesn't even really start with exercise. It starts in your mind. And so you have to make a decision that you want to do it. Like I was always one of those people too, when I was heavier, I would say, oh, I exercise all the time. I'm not really eating that much. But then when I took a look at what I was eating, I'm like, well, you might not be eating that much per se, but you're eating all of the wrong foods. You're not moving as much. When I was 34 years old, I went to the doctor and he says, your blood pressure is high and I'm going to put you on high blood pressure medication. And I said, well, I exercise all the time. And he says, are you huffing and puffing until you sweat? And I'm like, no. He says, well, you ain't doing it right. And so then that's what I started to do. And I started to get into shape. And so recently, like I said, I lost 17 pounds. I'm trying to lose about another 30 more, give or take. I don't want to get too I don't want to get too small, but I want to get to a healthier weight. Because, when you get older, especially as women, it's not as easy to lose and stuff. But I want to be in a good space. I want to look better in my clothes and, all of that. But it's only hard in your mind. take an assessment of what you're really eating opposed to what you should be eating. Even little candies add up. Like I have this giant candy bowl that belong to Al. He likes candy and stuff like that, and I just had to stop eating it because I'm like, well, it's little bitty peppermints here and there, but it's still sugar and it adds up. And so I stopped eating sugar as well, which is hard, right? I just stopped doing it because I want to be in a good space, and ultimately I want to be here if I ever do get some grandkids. But I got great nieces and nephews. I want to be able to run and jump and play with them. I don't want to be on the porch, with my oxygen mask and a rocking chair talking about don't hurt yourself, kids. And like I'm only 60, right? I want to be able to do all of that. And so that's why I try my best to eat right. I am plant-based. I wasn't for about a couple of months recently, but I've gone back being plant-based because I like how I feel when I'm plant-based. I have a lot of energy. I don't need to sleep all night. I get up very early and just have a lot of energy. And so it really has to start in your mind. You have to make a decision to get disciplined so that you can get the results that you want. But there's nothing like, being sick. And as Donovan said earlier, you're going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later. And somebody else said how food is expensive. To eat healthier, it is expensive, but expensive compared to what? Expensive compared to when you're older, having to pay for a lot of medication and going back and forth to the doctor and being poked and being prodded. And expensive compared to what? Cut out some of the meats so you can afford, because meat is expensive. I don't care what you say, meat is expensive. Cut some meat out and go more, vegetables and grains and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff you could do without meat, but you're going to pay for it now or later. And Donovan, and I'm going to get to you guys' comments, Donovan brought up, food stamps and stuff like that. We've all been to the store, and I'm not trying to shame anybody who was on food stamps, but we've all been to the store and seen people using food stamps with baskets full of nonsense, salt, sugar, fat, grease, and it's like, so while we are in food deserts, we still have the choice to make better decisions with the foods that we buy and the foods that we put in our bodies. Donovan and I are in our 50s. Well, he's a lot older than me, but and y'all, some of y'all as well. Y'all remember when your mama would cook? Make sure you take that meat out, thaw it out. Your mom didn't come in the door with fast food all the time, buckets of chicken and pizzas, and that was rare.
There was always rice in the refrigerator or on the stove.
Yeah, but the point was they cooked food, right? And it was better. But now we've gotten so far away from that. Our children are sick. They're, in record numbers. We are dying earlier than we're supposed to be. And then before we die, we have all these ailments. We have, like, a lot of us in our age group have ailments of old people.
And real quick, I want to cut you off and just think about this, you guys. Because of those ailments that we've subjected ourselves to, who do we put the burden of taking care of us on, rather than our kids going on and having a decent life and and living their life? We burden them with the problems that we put on them because we couldn't take care of ourselves. And I think that is totally unfair.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so I'm going to get to you guys' comments, but I just wanted to just kind of say that before the other comments came in. So let's see here. And Brother Sammy says, melanin also allows us to hear the full spectrum of sound and see the full spectrum of colors. Yes, indeed. And I thank you, Jafai. I mean, it wasn't hard. I'm not going to say it was hard for me to lose the 17 pounds and counting, because I just made a decision. I didn't want to be fat anymore. I just didn't. I didn't want to be fat anymore, and I didn't want to be unhealthy. I wanted to get back to where I was before that, and I'm on my way. I'll do it. And plus, I got an event coming up in December, and I want to look good. So anyway, I'll tell y'all about that one day. And Randy says, with Frank's Red Hot, I can do a job on 20 pounds of chitlins. Okay, brother. And Jafai says, oops, I mean, congratulations. I know what you mean. And Thunder says, also, there's recycling gardens. Use the ends of the cabbage and lettuce and the shoots off of sweet potatoes. If you want to start gardening for free, you already pay for it. Why not go back for seconds? Yes, I actually did that with some romaine lettuce, and it did start to grow back. And the what do you call it? The green onion. So you're right. You should do a gardening channel, honestly. And let's see here. Sunlight says, see, that right there is the problem. A healthy weight might not be physically appealing, but it's healthy makeup your mind. Right. So exactly. And Thunder says green onions can be recycled. I should have read that. And Brother Samuel say, congratulations on the weight loss. You can do all things. Words matter. Words turn into matter. Yes, indeed. You can't stop saying you can't do it, because if you keep saying it, eventually you'll believe it. And that's how you'll walk in your life, not manifesting manifesting the things you want to do because you keep telling yourself you can't do it. And Brother Todd says, think most people fail when it comes to losing weight, because when you lose something, it's easy to find. You have to get rid of weight, because when you get rid of something, you'll never find it again. Well, yeah, we don't want to find the weight again. And Donovan is showing a picture of my father back there holding my brother Walter with the mighty FOI. Back, it had to have been in 1970, because my brother was born in December of 1969 and he was a baby there. So that was in Santa Barbara there. The FOI, NOI rather, in Santa Barbara. My dad is wearing the glasses. And Frankie says purposely done. And Jonelle says it's all mind over matter. Find your favorite exercise and do a little bit every day. Each day, gradually. Active defeats standing still. Win, right, Queen? Nothing beats a made up mind. There you go. And I'm telling you, I am determined. I get up every morning and I sweat. I huff and I puff for about an hour. I'm dripping sweat. And, I'm like, it's already done, right? It is already done. I'm gonna get there. So, and Mr. Pyrebrain, I thank you so much for that comment. You know how to make a girl feel good. And Sunlight says a 5'4" woman, according to the doctor, is 125 to 135 pounds. Most people who promote thickness and health have no idea that's a contradiction. And so, yeah, I am 5'4", and I'm gonna be honest with you, 125 pounds would have me looking like a skeleton, because just my makeup, my family tends to be the women tend to be on a thicker side of things. Um, so 125 pounds, I would be looking real bad. Y'all be like, now I know she's smoking some crack.
Yeah, she's on the pipe. She's
right.
on the pipe.
So the small, I wouldn't want to get that small, because like I said, I got to 143 pounds and I was pretty small. And Jafia says amlodipine, blood pressure meds, causes edema for a lot of Black people. Yes, and that's swelling of the feet and the ankles and stuff like that. So you're absolutely right. And Frank says, yep, Donovan, you're right. You have to keep changing your gloves. And Denise, you say, FYI, I lost a noticeable amount of weight removing bread and eggs recently for over a year. Yes, bread, is not really good for you, because a lot of us eat it 2 or 3 times a day, a sandwich, some toast for breakfast or whatever. And so I can't eat bread for whatever reason. It makes my stomach hurt. I'm assuming I have a gluten intolerance. I can't eat tortilla shells or any of that stuff. And so I just go without it. And so I think that's kind of helping too.
Now, let me ask you this real quick, Demetra. Now, when you started your regimen to get back in shape, did you refer to a medical doctor or anybody like that just to get some ideas of where you should be and all that other stuff? Or did you just say, I know you did it before, so you kind of know, but would you recommend people to go to the doctor first and kind of do that?
You should go to the doctor, but I'm going to tell y'all something, okay? I had a doctor, and in fact, 2 of my doctors. One of them, I was like, doc, I want to lose some weight. And he says, ain't nothing wrong with a curvy girl. I was like, okay. But he said I was fine. I was a lot smaller than I am now, but I think you should get some medical advice to see where you need to be to get your vitals and everything checked, but getting the weight off of you, I mean, it's just not only just looking better in clothes, but you feel better, right? You're walking around, you're not lugging around a whole bunch of weight, and you don't have 52 stomachs and stuff. I mean, it's a plus. And AJ says it really is a mindset. I know that's right. You got this, sis, and so do you. The Pioneer says we can't always go by what these Caucasian doctors tell us is the proper blood pressure, sodium intake, or weight. Their stats are based on what works for their body, not necessarily the Black body. So that is true as well. Yeah, I mean, we know most sisters got a little bit more behind than a lot of white women. I ain't talking about that stuff they out there buying. I'm talking about naturally. And so a sister at 100, unless she's a smaller frame, right? But myself, I'm 5'4", and I just wouldn't look good that small. I would look sick. And Sunlight says that's where I reside. Yes. And Denise says to gain it back. And he says I re-added bread and eggs. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just can't do it because it messes up my stomach. And Nasi, how you doing? He says I no longer eat meat, eggs, bread, or coffee. And yeah, good for you. You're gonna feel much better. I drink black coffee, and what I do is in the morning after or before I work out, I put black coffee in cold water, shake it up real good, and I'll drink it to kind of get a little bit of energy when I'm working out. But I don't put sugar or cream in my coffee. And Thunder, thank you so much. You says this is for some seeds toward a fruit tree, Black First. Absolutely. We appreciate that so much. And Aiden, he says, I never seen 100-year-old obese person. Yeah, usually they're smaller, right? And they'll tell you what the secrets was. I ate, good foods, and I didn't, do a whole lot of drinking and smoking and partying, as Donovan says, burning the candles at both ends. I got rest. I didn't stress myself out. And, they're there to tell about it, right? And Jafia says, I am 5'8", 160 pounds, and my white doctor said I shouldn't be more than 140 pounds. That is crackhead weight for me. I'm size 8 and not trying to lose 20 pounds. Yeah. At 5'8", 160 pounds, shoot, you got it going on. But that's what they do, though. The white doctors and the white weight chart per se will tell us that we should be a certain weight. But yeah, 140 pounds, yeah, probably have you on the smaller side. So, do what's comfortable for you. For me, I like to gauge how I look inside of my clothes because I like pencil skirts, and I'm going to get back at me in some pencil skirts. Hello. And the Pioneer says most Afro-Americans have a naturally high blood pressure because we have naturally high salt content because of slaves with the highest salt content survived dehydration on the slave ships. Yes, indeed. And that's why it's good not to add salt to your food. Now, I know it tastes good, but a lot of foods already have sodium in it, so you don't need to add any more. Just, add different flavors, onion powder, garlic powder, and, paprika and pepper, all those other things that make the food taste good. And Frank says, Jafia, I bet it looks good on you. I'm telling you. And Thunder says, where'd it go?
You're on the Thunder. Come on, family. Let's show some love for our B1 hostess.
I was trying to find it, but I didn't know I was that far. Okay, there you go. Yes, come on, family. Let's find some love for your Black First hostess and host. Yes, and we appreciate it. We do have a Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. You can become a member, subscribe to the channel, or the super chat and all that, and all is greatly appreciated. And thank you so much for those who've already donated. And Denise says removing bread and eggs and adding a waist trainer works wonders. Yes, I have one that I work out with. I don't like to as much because it makes me too hot, but sometimes I do. Just to kind of burn my midsection.
And then think about this, ladies. A lot of you ladies that are single looking for a quality man or whatever. I mean, you got a lot of guys that are at the gym.
Mm-hmm. Where did the comments go? And Jafia says, true Pioneer, that rings true for Native Americans well. And Denise says, thank you both, Demetra and Donovan. It was informative and warm. Kudos. Yes, indeed. Jafia says, I don't eat dairy or red meat. Same here. And Eli says, I am 5'2", 92 pounds, so I am slightly underweight. Well, there are things you can do if you want to gain the weight, but some people will say that's fine, right?
Wait. Eli, how old are you?
I believe she said she was like 13, if I'm not mistaken, 13 or 14.
Okay, no, that's about right then.
Yeah,
that's about right.
I would think so. And the Pioneer says, I have to say it again. I think a lot of the sickness of a lot of our people isn't just the diet, but because of the needles they got as babies. That could be very true. And Ada says, stop making the children lose all the weight by ordering them around. Okay. And Pioneer says, when Black people use midwife and birth our own children without them getting that needle, they grew up much stronger and healthier. You can look at the generations and see the difference. Very true. And Nasi says, your body fat shouldn't be less than 18%. Yeah, mine would be at 125 pounds. Ugh. Denise says, not eating meat in my youth was noticeable money wise. Oh yeah, you'll save a lot of money not eating meat. Um, and the pioneer says we need our own doctors, our own hospitals, our own science of what works best for our bodies instead of using Caucasians methods. Yes, I totally agree. You also say if you look at most Africans who come here, they tend to be smaller than us in frame, but still very strong and can work hard, two jobs, and go to school and study all day and night. They eat better food. Yeah, when we were in South Africa, that food did not taste anything like over here. It was fresh. You could tell that hadn't been through a whole lot of chemical processes and stuff like that. It was great. Uh, and I says 143, 100. I'm thinking 143, like I love you, right? Um, that's a Music Soul Child reference. It says 143 would be overweight for my short self. Okay, so yeah, just depending on the height, right? And you also say brown rice tortillas are a good replacement. Yeah, I have to try it, but so far I can't do it. It hurts my stomach. And Nasi says, damn near everything Americans eat contain wheat. Yeah, and I have a wheat intolerance. Cereals, all that, I can't do it. And Brother Samuel says, I doubt it. 125 pounds, as long as you work out and stay Black woman, mathematically, proportionally, that's golden. I mean, it could be, but for me, I'd have to put on a lot of muscle for it to fill out, I would think, right? And Sunlight says, was that doctor a Black man? No, he wasn't. He was actually a white man, believe it or not. So that told me ain't nothing wrong with a curvy girl. And then you also say golden ratio, Brother Samuel. And NIE says 100 crunches a day for me. As far as sit-ups, yeah, that'll definitely get your abs right. But for me, I'm trying to bring down my fat before I start doing that, because if you're not doing it right, you just make your stomach like stick out more. So I'm trying to bring it down. So I mean, it's working though. And Pioneer says most Black people don't have doctors unless something is wrong with them anyway. How many healthy Black people have a doctor's number on speed dial? I do. And I can talk to my doctor via, the internet or telephone. So yeah, absolutely. And Jonah says, make sure your doctor isn't obese, right? Which a lot of my doctors have been. And now that I think about it, the Pioneer says, plus certain medicines work differently on people with melanin than it does on Caucasians. And AJ says, oh, yeah, we do. I am 4'11". My doc told me I need to weigh around 110. I'm like, oh, no, I'm working on getting to 140 pounds. I am at 168 right now. Exactly. Is about how you feel. It's about how you feel, too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really a personal decision, right?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like the boxers. It's like if you guys saw the Wilder Fury fight last night. I mean, the guy came in 20 pounds heavier than he did for the previous fight. And Deontay Wilder put on some weight as well. And it's all how you carry it. I mean, yeah, he didn't look great, but because he was a skilled boxer and can move his feet, it's all in how you carry it.
Yeah. So did he lose that fight?
Deontay Wilder got knocked out in the 11th. He had no chance whatsoever. I mean, he did knock Fury down early. The problem with Deontay Wilder in that fight, and I know a lot of people might not agree with me, he started off the first 4 rounds, he started off great. Then he reverted to wild swinging street fighting. And the problem with Deontay Wilder is he didn't have any boxing skills to begin with. He relies too much on going for the knockout. And in the sweet science, you had 2 years to learn it. And I think it takes a little longer than that. But like I said, he started out great, but then he went away from his game plan. If he would have stuck with his game plan, it would have been a little bit better, because Fury knocked him out when Fury started boxing. Fury started using the jab, set him up with the jab, and then the overhand right, and it was a wrap at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell if he lost or won because of how different people were talking about it. I'm gonna get to you guys' comments, and then
it was a great fight. Yeah, it was a great fight.
I'm gonna get to your comments, and I'm gonna show y'all something really quick. And let's see here. Oh, okay. I'm gonna really get to these comments.
Some of you ladies need to inbox me some of these pictures, because I be looking for some of your pages and I can't seem to find them. Or if you guys are under a different name, I don't know. Or maybe you guys just don't want stalkers, so I don't know.
All right. So The Pioneer says most Black people. Okay, I read that. And let's hear. And the Pioneer says, plus certain medicines work differently on people with melanin than it does on Caucasians. Very true. And AJ says, oh no, we do. Oh no, I read that already. Okay, so let's see. And Pioneer says, well, sis, you have to be sure if real bread that upsets your stomach or this commercialized bread made from genetically modified wheat or other ingredients causing you distress. Yeah, that is very true. I think that it's really a lot of stuff containing wheat and different things. So I just try to stay away from it. And Nancy says, if you want to know how your body is doing, have a complete blood and urine workup. Yes, I had one earlier this year and I'm doing great. Even when I was heavier, which is weird. And I says my ideal weight is 125. And Willie says if you listen to your body, it'll tell you what's going on with you. Let's see. It'll tell you what's going on with you. Look at your nails and skin. Those are good indicators for health. That is very true. And the Pioneer says our people can't tolerate a lot of foods, quote unquote, anymore because it's not real food, it's fake food, or what now Neely Fuller Jr. calls plastic foods. White folks can eat it, doesn't bother them. That is very true. And Denise, you say very true. And Sunlight says, I'm just going to say that those stats we keep hearing about from you. I know who does not a lot for thickness. It shows us as obese, then a certain gender agrees.
You know, and you know, and the funny thing is Sunlight too, you know, the sad thing is our younger generation of Black women are falling for those statistics. And I think that's also, other than the media, is helping to drive them to getting these BBLs and all this other stuff because they think that they're not where they're supposed to be.
Yep. And the Pioneer says Minister Farrakhan said that you're dealing with a wise Satan. These people know how to add extra sodium and sugar in the foods and disguise it in a way that you won't even know it. That's why you should cook for yourself. And Frank says, I like big booties and little hips, just saying. I think most men do, right? And Randy says going to the gym and eating baked foods will put weight on fast. Honey, how you doing? Are you banned from Facebook? Like, what's really going on? We don't see you anymore. And you say Black women were skinny back in the 50s. Body acceptance helped women splurge on junk food. I knew it was coming. Pioneer says Caucasian woman told me that a lot of the bottled water has salt put in it, disguised so you don't taste it. But salt makes you thirsty so that you drink even more water. A wise Satan. Oh, wow. That's good to know. I drink spring water, alkaline water. Spring water is alkaline.
More minerals and stuff in it.
Mm-hmm. And all aboard, how you doing? He says, I use the midwife and doula. Yeah, that's what Black women should use because a lot of Black women are dying giving child birth in these white hospitals. And Brother Sammy says, waist trainers are bad for the internal organs. Dr. Africa taught us that it squeezes the internal organs, causing them to function and under duress. So I don't use waist trainers. Mine is more like a sweat band for your waist. So once I'm done working out, I take it off and it's not very tight. But no, I'm one of those people, I don't like to be constricted. So I could never wear a waist trainer. I don't know how people do, but it's to each his own. And Sunlight says, well, then the Africans need to send us some food. It's good over there too. And all aboard says they allowed me to do what felt natural. I was able to walk around and birth naturally with my midwife and doula. Yes, indeed. And Denise says, me, where'd it go? It says,
and you both, Demetra.
Me and you both. And then Brother Sam says it's similar to a bodybuilder who trains upper body, neglects the lower body, puts the body out of balance and causes stress on the body. Yeah, don't that look weird too? And Pioneer says it's like milk. I can't drink the milk in the United States, but when I went to Europe, it was able to drink the milk easy. I found out that they do something to the milk here that affects the digestion. Well, we really shouldn't be drinking it because it's for cows, but we drink it anyway. And Jafia says, I jump double dutch with the neighborhood girls, and that's the best exercise ever. You ain't lying. And Jonelle says, it's a sad state of affairs to see Wilder so wild after all that training. Yeah, he needs to jump back on it, right?
Yeah, and Jafia, Demetra is notorious for skating.
Oh yeah, I'm getting back out there. And now that I've moved and everything, I found some places I can skate. I got some good skates too. And Nasi says, milk, my gosh. And Morning says, I see a lot of people bet on the Black man losing against the white guy, don't know the fight. But Donovan, you know what I'm talking about. I think we need to do more uniting as a people. Okay.
Well, yeah, you know, and I'm just gonna comment on that real quick. So here's the problem. And it's, you know, we know what the white guy is going to do. It could be a foreign guy. As long as he's against the white guy, the white supremacy is going to show you who they stand for. They ain't going to go for the American. We know that. But at the same time, though, brothers and sisters, we need to stop, like Sha'Carri Richardson, all these people, we need to stop talking shit before we get the job done. That's the problem that we have. I mean, it's nothing wrong with talking shit. You just got to back it up.
Yes, indeed. And Randy says Dante needs more cardio. And Pioneer says, Brother Don, I used to be heavy into boxing from the 80s all the way into the 90s. But after Tyson left the scene, my desire to even sit through a fight waned. It's now just boring to me.
Well, Mike Tyson ruined pay-per-view. Everybody, pay-per-view was taken off until Mike Tyson started knocking mugs out within like 90 seconds, and people just stopped buying pay-per-view. So.
And Brother Sammy said, Donovan, do you think that fight was staged? You're right on Wilder's weakness. He seems so out of shape, even like he was drugged. Wilder, that is.
Well, I think he came in, he came in 20 pounds heavier than he did the last fight. I mean, he came in heavier, not 20 pounds, but he came in heavier than he ever did. And everybody knows in boxing, you got that extra weight and you've never really gone into the later rounds, it's going to affect you sooner or later. I mean, he had a heart of a champion. I mean, he was ready to just get knocked out, which he did. But I just think that the excuses that he did, and not giving the respect and, oh, it was my suit. Oh, it was the water. Oh, it was this. It was that. I broke my hand. The gloves, all this other stuff, it really played against him to where they turned him into the villain. And then if you looked at his record, he never really fought anybody worth fighting. Every time there was a really like a Fury or somebody who really could box, he always turned him down until he got to a position now. Either he had to fight this guy or it was a wrap for him. So, and this guy, technically in the trilogy, if you ask me, Fury won all three.
Awesome. And Thandi say, D, it's fall. Get some cabbage or collard greens, and I wish you all the best. Yes, indeed. I like cabbage, but it doesn't like me. And Nasi, thank you so much for becoming a new member of the channel. I greatly appreciate it so much. And Frank says, but they can give us crack and heroin, shaking my head. And Brother Sammy says, have you tried Ezekiel sprouted wheat bread? I have, but it tastes, there's just a lot going on with it. I have to maybe try it again. I appreciate you, Nasi. Thank you so much. And Mona says, I agree. Your blood tells you. Where'd it go? I'm gonna catch up. You say, I agree. Your blood tells you if you have high cholesterol, any diabetes, or any disease in the blood. Some things may not always be detected right away, and that's where the herbal supplements come into play. I think Amen. And Pioneer says yes, and it's the same with the Red Bulls and Monster drinks. I see Caucasians drinking that mess by the gallons. That crap even smells like a bunch of chemicals. It doesn't smell natural. Yeah, I don't mess with it at all because I can only imagine what that stuff does to your liver. And Frank says for Black people to be still scared of Trump, they weak. And the Pioneer says, yeah, the next time you buy a bottle of water, make sure you read the label. It gives you a list of ingredients. Why do you have ingredients in water? Very good point. Javaya says alkaline water is nothing more than regular water with a small amount of baking soda in it. That is very true. It's spring water, but a lot of times people pay all this money for, pH balanced water and all of that. And Moni says, how can you get over that when you buy your frozen vegetables and you buy them from Kroger's and Mears, I think it is, if it's in your state, Walmart, if they're in your state, as well as even the Dollar Tree. Yeah, I try not to buy too many frozen vegetables. And Rick C, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the donation. It is much appreciated. And Randy says, try almond milk. Yes, I do. I drink almond milk. I haven't drank regular milk in years. And the Pioneer says, Demetra, I see you speed reading. I can take a hint. Laugh out loud. No, it's okay. And Moni says, when you're dealing with frozen vegetables and frozen fruit, you can't buy fresh. Then that would be the next best thing, which is true. Just don't overcook. Replace cane sugar with coconut, which is better. Replace with coconut sugar, which is better. Okay. Jafia says, most of our muscles are being utilized when you swim and skate. Yes. And just want you to know, sugar is sugar, right? I know we say this one is better, that one's better. Yeah, there are some better sugars, but it's still going to have the end result if you eat too much of it. And Brother Samuel says the Black woman was designed by God, and just her look will naturally distress the Black man. However, at the same time, that should be reserved for her husband. Yes, indeed. And Willie says, when planting food, you should roll the seeds around in your mouth. The veggies you grow will retain your genetic makeup. Your food then becomes medicine. Okay. And then Denise says, I drink almond milk. And Moni says, a lot of men like the fact that I have very wide hips, a big round butt, very large bust, small back, waist, and a very beautiful olive skin tone, which is golden red, can sit place on my behind. I ain't making that up, y'all.
Okay. I will be. I think there's a flight going up to Michigan. Let's see. I'm gonna have to look it up.
And then Frankie said, I heard about it. And Easy said, Wilder has poor trainer and training. And Pioneer says, Muhammad Ali used to talk a lot of junk, but he could back it up. A lot of our people saw the confidence and intimidated the trash talking part without the performance. And Denise says, I love the skate. Yes, it is the best exercise. And Robert says, you can do it at Sunlight. And One Who Cares says, try 3 Bakers all grain. It's better than Ezekiel. Okay, I'm going to try all those. And Jafia said, there goes Donovan and his putty cat. And the Pioneer says, I know what you mean about cabbage. Just when I hit 30, I had to leave the cabbage alone unless I didn't have to work or meet anybody the next day. I'll have the entire building vibrating. So me and you, we on the same page. Mona says, waist trainer sometimes is good, especially for women that have them big stomachs, wide waistlines, very gross. That's made for the average Caucasian woman that has a rectangular, gross physique. Ooh,
well,
wow.
I don't know if you guys have seen, like, out here in California, the Mexican ladies, when they have a baby, they have like a, I forgot how would you describe the average Mexican? They're kind of short and kind of square. That's
and that's probably because it's indigenous, from wherever they're from, they have to be made like that. And let's see here. And Frank says, Bade Donovan, like in the movie Babs. Okay. And Mona says, Demetra, instead of anyone doing a waist trainer, stack your coins and get it done. No, cosmetically, and look at the beautiful results. Remember, Sarah Bartman was hated because of her physique. Yeah, no surgery for me. I'm going to work all that off. And let's see here. And Dragon Lily, how you doing? He says, Donovan, that hat is so handsome on you. Good evening, family. Our body is our temple. Only good things in it. And yes, I see all these other comments, and I'm going to go through them. And Randy says, warning, people, stay off the energy drinks. Yes, cut them out. I know y'all see Kevin Samuels drinking Red Bull out of fancy glasses, but that cannot be good for you. And Easy says, Donovan, she is calling you. And Don, how you doing? He says, Cowboy Donovan is back. And Frank says, we're indigenous to this land also. That is true. And so Moni, you're talking about Sarah Bartman. Yes, she did die from syphilis and stuff because they did abuse her. And Jafia says, that sounds huge to me. And Goddess, how you doing? He says, hi, I'm so glad to catch you live. I usually watch the playback. Well, I'm glad you're here. We're going to be getting out of here in a couple of minutes. And Pioneer says, it's the same with sweet potatoes. I used to eat them as a kid, but when I got about 25, eating just one sweet potato would have me flabbering so much I'd be bouncing in my seat like a dancing to a tune. Yeah, they don't really bother me much. But I want to show y'all something really quick, just to kind of show you where I was. Bear with me here. So that was me at about 100 and...
Stop. That is not Demetra. That is her mom. That's a picture of the early 80s. I know a Bryn when I see her.
Lies. That was actually taken maybe 5 years ago. So
yeah, about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Point that I'm making is that's like 150 pounds for me. So imagine taking 25 more pounds off of that. That is skin and bones. And so that's where I'm going back to as we speak.
Now, fellas, look at those drumsticks. Look at those drumsticks.
And you know what? I did all of that myself. I didn't go to a gym. I didn't, have to hire anybody. I just, applied determination, willpower, and I just made a decision that I wanted to be healthier. And so that's where I'm going back to, in case you're wondering. But yeah, 125 pounds, that's again, that was 150 pounds or so. 125 pounds would just have me looking like a 12-year-old boy. And I don't want to look like no 12-year-old boy, if that makes any sense. And so, yeah, I had some meat on my bones. I was pretty fit there, but I'm working toward that every day. So stay tuned. I'm going to do an updated picture for y'all in a couple of months when I get to that point. So, Donovan, what say you before we get out of here? We got a couple of minutes still.
Yeah, we got a couple of minutes. like I said, I think we got to have more talks in regards to health and things like that, because that is affecting us. We're our own worst enemies. We keep talking about white supremacy killing us in the streets, but we never talk about us killing ourselves within our own homes. And then what we teach and how we eat is how we teach the next generation. So we've got to do better as a people to make sure that we are going to be here in the future.
Absolutely. And so let's see here, get to the rest of these comments. And Honeydew says, hi, family. How you doing? He says, I will watch the replay. Yes, indeed. Please do. And Jafia says, sweet potatoes have a lot of good medicinal properties. Yeah, I like them. But, I watched the webcast today from the Nation of Islam and said it's not good to eat. So I might have to look into that. Morning says skating is some good exercise, but I can't wait until I get moved so I can buy myself a stair climber and start working out a half an hour to an hour a day. Doctors refuse to write prescription diet pills. Nah, you don't need them, sis. Just get out there and you make it do what it do. Start slow and then, pick up the pace. Yeah, Pioneer. So can you imagine if I was to lose 25 more pounds from that point and be 125 pounds? Yeah, that's a lot. And thank y'all for the compliments. I'm gonna do an updated picture in a couple of months, y'all. I'm working on it. So let's see here. Let's see. Hello, Abbott. And Jafai says, personally, I think you're more beautiful now. Just my opinion. Well, I appreciate that. Pioneer says those drumsticks. Yes, indeed. And I'm just gonna go to some of these other comments so we can get out of here. Thank you, Easy. I appreciate that. And Sunlight says, good, let me FedEx. Kevin Samuels, a year supply of Red Bull. Maybe we could get lucky. I'm sorry, but not sorry. Wow.
Right. Hey, and real quick, I want you guys to think about this. When we see you guys on Thursday, or is it? Thursday. When we see you guys on Thursday, here's my question for the ladies and even for the guys. What is the point of getting a PhD, ladies, and you don't have no man? So just think about that and wait. And what was the other part of my question? PhD and ain't no man, but you want the man to pay all your bills. What was the point of getting the PhD? So if you guys could kind of hold that until Thursday, we'll talk about it.
Yes, indeed. So anyway, y'all, let me get to the rest of these comments before we get out of here. Let's see. Who else? Thank you, Dragon Lily. I appreciate that. And Brother Samuel says, and with great weight training, you'll still look great at 125 pounds. I take your word for it. I might try to get close, but that's a little too small for me. A wise man once told me a long time ago, he says, D, when a man goes to the rib shack, he don't tell the waiter to bring him a plate with the most bones on it. He tells him to bring him a plate with the most meat on it. I don't know how true that is, but thank you, AJ. And Arson, how you doing? He says, Donovan calling out Demetra's pictures. No worries, Demetra. You look just fantastic and you will make it back to it. Yes, thank you for the vote of confidence. And we all will if we just try, right? And then he says they're boxed off and it gets worse over 25. No offense. And Moni says the law that states that if a white woman calls the police on you to get her, you can have her arrested and you can even sue her. I would love to hear you both guys on the show. I adore you both. Well, we think...
Well, again, with that law, people don't want to believe this, but California is one of the most racist states in the union. I don't care how much they talk about how liberal they are. What has California done for Black people in regard as a whole than they do for illegals? They do more for illegals than do anything else. So that law that they wrote there, it's basically symbolism. It really doesn't do anything because, again, there's been a mass exodus of Black people out of California. So that law really has no teeth.
Yes, indeed. And the Pioneer says, sis, with that body and that natural hair, you were looking like the jet beauty of 1973. And they were
telling you, that was a brand. That wasn't Demetra. That was a brand.
My mom had it going on too, especially when she was younger. And Frankie says the Moors were here too. Yes, indeed. And Willie says, you better get some insurance on those legs, Demetra. Maybe I'll take you up on that. And Anais says, fast food is the new soul food. And Frank says the Moors were in Mexico, same with the Amaleks. Yes, indeed. And Randy says, I'm headed to Houston, Demetra. Come on. Pioneer says the Nation of Islam says we should leave peanuts alone too. Yes. Every time I tell my dad about peanuts, he's like, I don't eat that. You shouldn't eat it either because it's supposed to be hard on your stomach. And so Mona says, I agree. We shouldn't talk shit, but I will say still say Trump has been in the news speaking that when he gets back, he's already stated he's not going to do much for the black man and black woman either. And did he say that out of his mouth?
But even if he did, Moni, the Democratic Party is doing the same thing. So why would we continue to vote for a party that is doing what you say Trump says that he's going to do? So why vote it off?
Yep. And Jafia says diet pills are for lazy people. You can do it without the pills. Yep. I agree. It is for lazy people because it'll come right back. And Dragon Lily says trail walks are good for your health. Yes. I like to walk outdoors, except when I almost got attacked by a pit bull. Kind of messed me up.
Yeah. Demetra was famous for walking up these mountains we have here, these little hills up here. So she used to do it, 2 or 3 times a day, you and your girlfriend?
Yeah. And they don't have mountains in Texas, unfortunately. And the Pioneer says, I haven't tasted Red Bull or Monster drinks to this day. I don't even know what it tastes like battery acid. And Brother Samuel says, sweet potatoes are friends of diabetes. Okay, white potatoes are okay for those in colder regions, I think sparingly. Yes. And Arsa says, Donovan, you are on thin ice. Yes, he is. And Denise says, I lost 120 pounds and it looked crackish on me. I had to go back to 140 at 4'11". Wow, that's a big accomplishment, 120 pounds. Robin says, okay, don't no man want a dry bone. Yeah, I mean, put some meat on it a little bit. Jafai says, D, due to you, your strong bone structure, 125 would probably be too small for you. I know it would be. It really would be too small. Pioneer says, I got something to drop on you, brother D. A lot of women who are earning those PhDs wouldn't have had any man anyways. Laugh out loud. So since they were going to be alone anyway, they might as well get an education. Wow. Wow. All right. And Amanda says, Demetra, I really enjoy purple and yellow and brown carrots are my favorite. Is purple bell peppers. Have you ever had some in Texas and Michigan? They grow plentiful. I also like quail capone birds to eat. No, I haven't had quail. And I've had different colored carrots and of course bell peppers. Yes. And the Pioneer says, I'll save some of it for Thursday, but a lot of women who get higher and higher in the academic area do it simply because they didn't have much of a social life to distract them. I think that is partially true, Pioneer. And AJ says, same with my mom. Mine was a dime. Yes, indeed. We had some fine mamas, didn't we? And Anais says, New York is racist too. Black people were the bonds on Wall Street. That is true. And Brother Sammy says, Kamala is from California, right? Yes. What is she saying about Jim Crow Joe's policies? Nothing.
Crickets.
Not a peep. And Denise says, Red Bull in moderation, it's an undercover killer. Yeah, I wouldn't want any at all. And Brother Samuel says, Trump gave HBCUs money and Biden is taking it away. Yes, by the billions, right? Or millions, right? Is it billions? No, billions.
Billions. Billions.
Yes.
40 billion allotted. He took 35 billion of the 40. He didn't, I mean, it's one thing to take half. He took more than half. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Pioneer says being a nerd and socially awkward doesn't necessarily make you smarter, but a lot of people with no social life have more time to study. I would say that's true. And Moni says, I like alkaline water, but I also enjoy Absol Pure. Now that is one of my favorite, but again, it's all in what you like. What are some of your favorite fruits, Demetra and Donovan? Why are they? I mean,
I like them all. So
yeah, I like pretty much all fruits. Yeah, I don't really have a problem with many fruits. And Pioneer says, yes, brother Don, California is racist as hell. I keep telling people that. And lastly, Frank says the Pioneer, it is, and it ain't the only whites that's racist. Shaking my head. And Pioneer says, it only took me 3 weeks of living in California, both in LA and San Diego, to realize how racist it is to Black folks, Latinos, and Asians crowding the place out to get next to wealthy Caucasians. That is very true. AJ says, oh yeah. And Jafia says, the area where the WTC was located was burial grounds for slaves. Look what happened there. Okay. And Aiden says, wisdom trumps PhD. That is true. And Aida says, except watermelon for me. I like watermelon. And Pioneer says, thank you, King and Queen. Great show as usual. All right, y'all. So we are going to get out of here. Appreciate you so much for being here for this 2 hours. And
how about them Cowboys?
Did they win?
Yes, they won.
Write it down. History has been made. So anyway, we thank y'all so much for being here on this very fine Sunday evening with us. We will be back on Thursday and Friday for Don't Believe the Hype and Free Flow Friday. It is all World Trade Center. Thank you so much for that, WTC. It's always a pleasure to have this conversation with you all. You guys are the bomb. Facebook and YouTube. Also, thank you to Marcus Guyton for everything you do behind the scenes in making the show go further. Thank you, Law. I appreciate that. And Goddess 529, good night to you as well. So we will see y'all later. You guys have a great week and do something fun. And again, we have a Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, and you can become a member or join the Super Chat. It helps the channel in everything that we do. So we appreciate you guys. We love you dearly. Have a great week. See y'all later.